Uh, Came to share with you all our summer surge. We realize that that these are the months that crime begins to increase. As you well know, the numbers will escalate. And so what we want to do is make sure we're getting in front of them. You know, this was a pretty violent weekend, and I just want you to know that we're focused with the new technology and so forth that's in place. We believe that we're moving in the right direction. We're still trending downward. We have our license plate readers. We have our computers in our police cars. We are adding the additional lighting. We're adding additional cameras. So we know that as far as technology is concerned, that we've increased. The strategic decision centers, I'll have the commissioner talk a little bit more about those as well. But we've got some partners that are working with us, and I want the commissioner to talk about what we're doing with our partners. Everybody's engaged, the federal, the state, state troopers, everybody's engaged. And so, again, we understand what the summer months look like. As the days get longer, more people on the street, we want to make sure that we're in front of the violence. Commissioner?
Mayor, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon. So just wanted to talk sort of briefly about the partnerships that we're leveraging at the federal level with DEA, ATF, the FBI, HSI, and the U.S. Marshal Service. As you might imagine, we've always had a good relationship with those agencies, but this summer in particular, we're asking them to do a little more for us because recognizing that we can't do it by ourselves, we're going to leverage those incredibly important opportunities to go after the baddest of the bad in the city as we look to go after those individuals who are causing the most havoc in our communities with respect to violent crime. And we're going to do that in a collective manner, but we're not going to be shy about it. Let me tell you, we are going to be, we're going to use those partnerships and be aggressive with identifying the worst of the worst and getting them out of our communities.
Let me just say, our whole goal here is to disrupt the violence, to disrupt the number of guns that are on our streets, to disrupt the gangs that are on our streets, and to interfere with the drug trafficking and trade that's occurring in Baltimore. And as you well know, you can see, I just left the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and this conversation around violence is one of the conversations that cities throughout this nation are having. We saw what was happening in Trenton just recently. And so this is a big topic of what are we doing during the summer months, how are we disrupting the violence, how are we going after these gangs. And so for us, it's bringing in the partnerships, leveraging those partnerships, not just our federal partners, our state partners as well, because we want to stay in front. Question?
A bit more specific on how the feds are going to help. I mean, aren't you always working with them around the year to bring big heads and go after people with guns?
Right, so we looked at the city sort of geographically, and without going into too many details, we have identified key players throughout the city that we're going to be working with our federal colleagues on, particularly during the summer to sort of ensure that we're getting those folks out of the communities.
I think part of it is using your federal partners, especially on the gun violence. You know what the laws are here. The federal laws are a little bit stronger, and so we're partnering with our federal partners because we need that strength. Too many illegal guns on the streets of our city, as you well know. When you think about the number of gunshots that went off just this weekend, just too many illegal guns, and they're going to help us in terms of identifying where those guns are coming from, because as you well know, we don't have shops in our city. We don't have gun shops here, but they're coming into our city. And we've got to stop the guns from coming in our city. We've got to stop the gun violence. You know, people are just pulling out guns and shooting each other, and we just have too many people of all ages with guns in this city.
How is this different than previous? We're always told as reporters that we work with our federal partners all the time.
Well, they're adding additional folks to assist us. We don't have all the... I don't have all the numbers, but they will be announcing what they're going to be doing specifically, and so we'll wait for them to tell you exactly what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, I don't want to take the federal partners are going to be making their own announcement about a specific program that they're starting. I don't want to take their thunder from them. Just recognize that we are an integral part of that effort. But again, I want them to make their own announcement.
Do you know when we're going to hear those details from them? Do you know when-
I would imagine relatively soon.
Is this what was discussed with the governor and the U.S. Attorney's office when you were met on Thursday?
It was part of it.
Part of
yes.
that.
It was part of it.
Yeah, I think when we passed each other, you asked me one question, and I said, you know, we just got through talking about a concerted effort that will be announced shortly.
And is that
That's part of this, yes.
How do you plan on addressing the juveniles? And how big of a role do you
So
think they play, if any, in this uptick in violence that we typically see in the summer?
Okay, two things. One, the Youth Works program, as you well know, we've got about 9,000 young people who will be going to work. We got 500 young people who will be going to Baltimore City Community College. We also have ROCA that should be up and running by July 1st to focus on the 17 to 24-year-olds who are really engaged in some of this violent behavior. We just introduced them last month. We've additional funding with that. We're expanding Safe Streets from 3 to 10 locations throughout the city. And then we have our LOT program. We're trying to get as many young people engaged in positive activities. We got several camps that are going on that are being directed through the city's Parks and Recreation Department. We've also expanded the hours, as you well know, in our recs and parks. We're also working with community partners, and you know that we've got the youth fund, so we're excited about what community groups and so forth are going to be putting forth for summer programs this year. That $12 million in monies will be out in the community, we hope, between now and the end of the summer, working with young people across the city.
And the 10 safe streets that you referenced, is that going to be in place this summer?
Yes. We're already hiring.
Thank you. Earlier, you said you've identified key players throughout the city and you want to sure getting these folks out of the city. Who are these key players? And if they are the worst of the worst, why are they still on the street?
Well, we obviously can't tell you. I mean, you know, investigations have to be done, but Madam Mayor mentioned something that was really important, and it had to do with the criminal justice system and the fact that when we're leveraging these partnerships with federal government, we're also leveraging the sentencing guidelines. All too often in this city do we go out, we arrest, and we convict individuals that will often go into our state judicial system, state penal system, and become bigger criminals there than they were when they were on the street. Well, how do we fix that? We take them out of that system, we put them into the federal system, and rather than them going to a state institution that oftentimes you'll see them continue to hone their skills and run their enterprise, they're shipped off someplace where they're less likely to do that. And I think we need to sort of seek maximum impact when we try to do these things.
So we do know that 89% of the individuals who come in contact with the criminal justice system have been in contact with the criminal justice system 9 to 11 times. Hence, when we talk about juveniles, we talk about ROCA, because we've got to focus in on these individuals. So they will be, we'll be recruiting, looking at what's going on with them. We will be following them. We'll be trying to help them in terms of jobs and training. All of those things will happen as a result of ROCA.
A while back, we've heard that a lot of these illegal guns are coming from southern states, Tennessee to be one of them. Is that the same pattern you're seeing? Has it changed? Is there a different trend now?
Well, we're seeing a number of patterns. We're seeing patterns where guns are stolen from places like Virginia and Pennsylvania and then shipped here. What we really need to do is reduce the market for guns in Baltimore. It's much like the demand for drugs. So as we work on that, we need to work on a demand for guns as well.
So the predictive amount, the strategic
SDSCs.
Yeah. At what capacity are they running right now? And are you beginning to see, and I know the Western one kind of live, right? But
I think they're about 90 and 60.
and ShotSpotter, is that going to be in the Eastern soon? Where are we on that? And are you seeing that helping already?
So ShotSpotter in the Eastern is about 60% complete. Western, it's just above 90%. We have not gotten the predictive software. It's something that as a matter of fact, I'm going to be traveling to take a look at it this week. That's the next thing. But so if you ask me, are the SDSCs working? Yes, they are, and I'll tell you why. If you look at our ability to put people in the room, in one room, so detectives, patrolmen, the commanders of those commands, to collectively decide what the deployment's going to look like, right? So if we've got a commander who decides he wants to deploy in this manner, and you've got a patrolman who's been on the street that day or the night before that can have input into that command. So you've got that patrolman who's equally as capable to a commander as a commander is equally capable of talking to me. And we find that seamless sort of effort is good.
And while it's been it was a little bit slow there for
Yeah.
a little bit. This past weekend was kind of violent. Last weekend wasn't great either. The shot spotter in the Western District, or are you seeing that work for you, or are you being able to respond
Sure.
to this, and is it helping your investigations at all?
We are seeing it. Our response times are way down compared to where they are because the officers that are working those areas are getting those detections, those notifications instantaneous. To give you an example, last Thursday, I was on my phone. I could see a detection that actually got dispatched in 45 seconds. So it popped up on the phone, right? I was able to listen to the gunshots, and it was dispatched within 45 seconds.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Do you know that the rollout of all the summer kind of initiatives has been a bit bungled? I mean, you had the government rush down last week and say, oh, we're going to have a strike force, but I can't tell you. You're not seeing...
Oh, I don't think it's bungled. I don't think it's bungled. I think there's a process. And I think that when you're putting in new equipment, it has to be tested. And so we are testing. As it relates also to some of the stuff, well, when we talk about the strategic decision centers, we've got to make sure that we have clearance. So, for example, in some of our HUD projects, so we're waiting for that information. So I don't think it's bundled. I really think it's being coordinated. And I think this is an effort, and I think you'll see it as we continue to move forward, that there is this cooperation and working together, everything from parole and probation to state police to federal partners, because we realize that there is a problem, that there's a gun problem, that there's a gang problem, that there's a drug problem. And I think you'll see this happening with cities throughout the country because everybody realizes that this is something that we have to be focused on. Like I said, I just left the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and this is a big conversation around gun violence in this country. Chicago's having that conversation. Trenton's having that conversation. There's cities across this country, and we have got to get a hold on, as it relates to the number of guns that are coming in this country. It is a conversation that we're having with Congress and so forth. Many of us are testifying as it relates to that. So we realize it's a problem, but it is a concerted effort, and I'm grateful for the partnerships, whether it's at the state level or the federal level, and all of us working together, because I believe that us working together is where we're going to have the greatest of impact.
Now, can you give us an update on the commissioner search?
We're in the process, and as soon as we get a little bit further, we'll let you know. We've got applications coming in already. We have a firm that we're working with.
Is the firm PERC? I mean,
We're working with firms right now.
What firm is the one that you contracted?
We'll let you know. We'll let you know. We'll let you know.
At the end of the summer, how will the public know whether this was a...
I think you'll know by the numbers. You know, we're down 19% as it relates to homicides. We're down in every single category. My hope is that we see it go down even lower. Thank you.